and welcome to the fourth week and what was meant to be the final week of Dallas Influences Sport and Entertainment's virtual speaker series. My name is Carla Rosenberg, and I'm the current president of DISE. In my day job, I serve as the Senior Vice President of Charity and Events Management for Lagardère Plus. We've been conducting these free series each week with the hope to be able to offer a platform for meaningful content and connection to not only our members, but also to anyone who is interested in insights into the current state of the sports industry. We have received such an overwhelming response that we're excited to announce that we're going to extend these weekly series. I want to share briefly today our lineup for the next 3 weeks, which includes Casey Clark, Senior Vice President, Strategic Communications at the American Gaming Association, who will speak on the state of the sports betting industry. We will also host DISE board member Lauren Allison, Senior Director of Insights at MVP Index, who will provide insight into how to navigate social channels during this very strange time. And also on the docket is one of DISE's main corporate partners, Southwest Airlines, featuring Melissa Melise, who is the Senior Manager of Experiential Marketing and Sponsorship. For those of you that are new to this series and not familiar with DISE, our vision is to use the power of sports and entertainment to provide professional development and networking and encourage a community focus that gives back to youth in North Texas, specifically in health and education. Since 2013, we are proud to share that we have distributed over $700,000 to local nonprofits. Right now, we recognize that our food banks are struggling to keep up with demand for food. So funds raised through these speakers series will be donated to the North Texas Food Bank and allocated toward family boxed meals. Our friends at the Dallas Stars Foundation, the Texas Rangers Foundation, and the Dallas Mavericks have each stepped up and offered to match up to $5,000 of the funds we raise during these weekly speaker series. As of today, we are halfway to our goal, as we have raised $2,580. With our matching gifts, our current total is $10,320. Please know that for every dollar you contribute, $3 gets added, which is equivalent to 12 meals for a person or family in need. I'll make sure to add this donation link to the chat section so that those of you who wish to contribute and help us achieve our fundraising goal may do so. Today's discussion will feature a poll so that our speakers can get insight from our audience members and have the chance to address these results during the segment. I ask that you all please participate in order to maximize these results. In addition, we encourage audience members to ask questions throughout using the Q&A feature below. I'm really looking forward to gleaning insight from our speakers today. They both serve on our DISE Board of Directors and are HR pros who will address topics such as staying connected and maintaining company culture, dealing with loss of work, and other professional and personal effects. Please let me introduce to you a friend and rising star in the sports industry, Nicole Britenriker, who is Manager in Talent Acquisition at Learfield IMG College, which manages the multimedia rights and sponsorship initiatives for more than 200 collegiate properties nationwide. Nicole works to identify quality candidates to join the property portfolio in the sales field and other affiliated companies across the country. Before joining the sports industry, Nicole was a former pro volleyball player and student athlete at the University of Kentucky. Following her stellar athletic career, she began working in the professional and collegiate sports landscape in a variety of roles, including sponsorship, sales, corporate partnership development, ticketing, and currently talent acquisition. She's an advocate for diverse and inclusive sports organizations and serves on the National Sports Forum's Business of Diversity and Sports and Entertainment Committee, as well as being the sitting vice president for the Black Sports Professionals North Texas. Joining Nicole is Quashan Lockett, otherwise known as Q. You know you are big time when you just have one letter that represents your name. Q serves as the Vice President of Human Resources for Legends, a holistic experiential services agency delivering hospitality, merchandise, sales, sponsorship, marketing, and project development solutions to marquee clients within the sports, entertainment, and attractions industry. Q joined Legends in 2017 and leads the people function with oversight for all HR, talent, culture, and diversity and inclusion activities. As an experienced people and organization strategist, Q has helped evolve Legends business and culture, including leading successful HR transformation, developing the company's diversity, inclusion, and growth strategy and platform, and designing scalable people processes to support significant business growth. Prior to joining Legends, Q served in various human resources, talent management, and organization development roles as global consumer-centric organizations. He's passionate about building high-performance and inclusive culture and designing organization with a people-first approach. We at DISE are honored to have both Nicole and Q with us today to share their expertise with our audience. We are also fortunate to have Kurt Egan moderating these discussions for us each week. He is the co-founder and chairman of DISE and serves as the president Americas of Lagardère Plus, Lagardère Sports and Entertainment's global partnership marketing. Kurt, thanks for leading these rich discussions each week so that our community continues to come together to share knowledge during this uncertain time. We appreciate your leadership and look forward to it once again, learning more today.
Carla, thank you as always for that introduction. It's almost like we know what we're doing after a few of these, so thanks. Q and Nicole, so nice to see those smiling faces of yours, and I'd be remiss if I didn't start by saying thank you for your contribution to DISE, making the organization what it is, and giving your time today to lend some insight on the HR industry and help us raise some more money for the North Texas Food Bank and the people who could really use our help right now. This question's for both of you, but Nicole, will start with you. We know that sporting and live events will come back with fans in attendance eventually, hopefully soon. It's a matter of when and how. I'm sure you guys have been thinking about this, very acutely from an HR and recruitment standpoint, and wonder if you could share, what your thoughts are with the audience today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys for having us. Super excited to contribute to one of our webinar series. I'm going to take the focus from the recruitment standpoint, since that's kind of my niche in our space for Learfield IMG College. And what I would say from what we're seeing as a whole in the industry related to hiring, bringing people back and getting into a normal groove is we don't know when that will be, obviously. I think right now you are seeing a lot of companies take an approach related to hiring that's only going to focus on critical needs. And that means there are some organizations out there who are still bringing people on. However, it's in your must-have areas. A lot of companies have had to take their own cost-saving measures. And when I say that, a lot of us know that's related to impacts that have already kind of changed their own workforce and their working contingency. Thus, you're going to see organizations looking to return their people to normal, whether from a pay scale or coming off furlough, before you can really come off a hiring freeze and look to bring in external folks. Are companies thinking about this? Absolutely. Is it middle, top of mind? Probably around that area, but from a timeline perspective, until we know that our seasons are back, obviously you don't have a need to have people coming in the door until you can kind of get those business decisions related to revenue back on track and the unknown is clear. So I think you might start seeing some new opportunities come to us from a hiring standpoint in sports, and that's going to be related to safety measures on the ground at our games. That's going to be related to health and safety in operations standpoint. There's already been a couple opportunities I've seen posted where team sides are looking to bring in and hire people now who have expertise in new functions related to health and safety. Q, I'll let you take the other HR side of it as returning.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Nicole. And first off, I hope everyone out there is doing well and staying safe. I think Nicole hit it right on the head. I think we've been thinking about that under the same lens. I would just add that, really, the way I think of it is from people, culture, and environment, right? So we're thinking about, okay, how do we, not only from a fan perspective, but our staff that works in different environments, whether it be office or at the venue level, how do we successfully bring these folks back in a safe and healthy manner. Want to really engage them and make them part of the process. So we've been thinking about how do we do that, whether it be through surveys or focus groups, and really kind of make our staff and our people part of the ultimate solution of what that looks like. And I think we all realize there's a certain level of probably anxiety and just things going on with people thinking about, okay, what does the return look like? And can we do that in a efficient and safe and healthy manner? So I think it's important to get people engaged in what that solution will be. Want to get the input on what the process looks like. How do we ensure proper social distancing in the office environment or in the venue environment? Are there new positions that are going to kind of come out of this period of COVID-19? When you think about technology and how we do things differently about, retail in the sports entertainment environment, food and safety, are there new positions that we now have? And what does that look like? And what does it look like from a recruitment standpoint or an upskilling perspective to make sure people are prepared and ready to kind of take on those new opportunities?
Thanks for that insight. Don't forget, everybody that's viewing, we've got a Q&A. If you've got any questions, we're definitely going to leave some time for those questions that you might have out there in the audience. Nicole, I'll switch to you. How should we be thinking about what's next and preparing for this sort of unknown? I mean, I think many of us are equipped to deal with different circumstances as long as we know what those circumstances are. The unknown is much more difficult, for everybody. So while we wait and hope for things to go back to normal, what kind of extra precautions should we be taking financially or otherwise in the event our industry doesn't return in full form for, say, another 12 months?
I think we should approach it from a cautiously optimistic standpoint. And when I say that, because it's pretty apparent our normal timelines of kickoff is here and college football is gearing up in August, and we'll be, rolling back into the stadiums as normal. That's probably unlikely. So with that being said, I think each of us need to manage all of our own expectations from a very realistic standpoint. And of course, working back with your own organizations who are going to be the ones directly sharing the direction your organization is taking, that, things could continue to go down this path for a little while. And when I say that, it could be those people who have been furloughed. It could be those people who are taking a pay cut. And I think organizations, first and foremost, they want to take care of their people, but if business isn't happening, they can't do that from a bottom line standpoint. Thus, bringing people back may not happen when we all hope it will. So I say that to be realistic in the standpoint that I think organizations put timelines around how long they would like people to be furloughed, how long they would like people to see a pay cut. And some organizations are already out there saying, we don't know how long this is going to be. We would like for it to change, but until we know, we don't know. So each of us should probably be taking our own financial precautions, continuing not to spend on things that are not essential right now. Understanding that, the paycheck might not come back to normal for another few months. I think everybody who is furloughed should get very familiar with their own state's laws related to the furlough guidelines. Sometimes you are furloughed, can only be furloughed for a certain amount of time before other steps need to be taken on how people and companies are going to manage your employment. So enlightening yourself and educating yourself on what that really means. If you are furloughed, a lot of times you're also qualified for unemployment. So hopefully people are taking advantage of that. Again, it's just knowing the resources out there for you, working back with your organization who, if they're not supplying these for you, finding ways to research on your own, to go cover yourself from a financial perspective, while we're still out here trying to understand how long this is going to be.
Q, over to you. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. 65% of the people viewing have felt the impact of this mentally and emotionally. You know, it's such an important topic, and at this time, people in our industry and society overall are dealing with this increased stress, anxiety, emotional challenges. What are you and your organization doing to help your employees handle this, and what advice would you give other organizations in this regard?
Yeah, it's a good topic, and obviously it's very relevant right now. You know, at Legends and outside my organization, we've really been, you know, thinking about this holistically, and it really starts with, you know, the fact that we've got a lot of people working remotely. Whether they've been impacted by this through furloughs or layoffs, or, you know, they're still working but they're working from home. I think this brings all sorts of different concerns and anxieties and stress and emotions when you think about what we're dealing with right now. So I think it really starts from a people standpoint of, if you have a team that you lead or you have coworkers, just truly, you know, as you start conversations or you have meetings throughout the day, I like to start every, you know, conversation that I have virtually with, you know, how's everyone doing? I think as a society and as people, we tend to respond to that, you know, I'm doing fine, but that's sort of a natural reaction. I think we've got to, you know, sort of force and encourage people to open up and not just say, hey, I'm fine or I'm doing okay, as sort of a standard reaction, but truly open up and speak about what things are sort of stressing us and what anxieties do we have. So I think that's first and foremost, supporting each other during this time and kind of having those conversations and just letting people vent and talk about the anxieties that are facing them right now. Secondly, you know, some of the things that we're looking at is just, you know, programming around. A lot of organizations have this, but, you know, employee assistance programs where there's outside counselors and outside people that you can talk to from a benefits and wellness standpoint. Don't know what everyone's respective organizations, whether they have this kind of setup or not, but a lot of organizations do. I would certainly recommend that everyone inquire from their HR departments or their organizations directly if they have some programming like that, where they can set you up with an outside counselor or a person that you can talk to who's an expert in this sort of topic, just so you can be able to speak to someone who's not connected to the organization, that you kind of speak freely about things that are affecting you. And then thirdly, it's, you know, we've been at Legends really encouraging things like wellness and fitness. We did a partnership with Gym Pass and really helping people focus on their virtual physical well-being when you talk about, you know, exercising and fitness at that level. So there are things that organizations can do from a partnership standpoint to really get their employees resources to all different sorts of things, whether you think about fitness, mental well-being, and then kind of the outside counselors to speak to someone that directly.
I wonder if that now might be a nice time to kind of refer to the poll. I'm going to end it. Hopefully that means you guys can all see the results. I'll let you guys digest that for a minute. Michael, nice to hear from you. Michael Conradi, the CMO of the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. Thanks for joining us. She's got a question for Nicole. What's Learfield doing from a sponsorship or sales perspective with partners at this point to prepare for the prospect of limited or no fans in the fall? I'm sure that's a question more for your sales team, but I'm sure that you have to understand from an organizational standpoint, you know, how you guys might be approaching that.
Absolutely. And Michael, that's a great question. Hello, Cotton Bowl family. That is the core of our business. So we, as an organization who literally were stepping onto the courts around conference tournament time for men's and women's basketball, and in a week's time had every tournament shut down, uprooted, followed by the NCAA tournament, but which everyone on this call can probably associate in some way the understanding of that from a business revenue standpoint when your client's exposure is gone overnight. So we are certainly pivoting and taking different routes, and probably, I don't even know if different route is what I should say, but more so leaning into our digital revenues, our digital assets, and new programs and platforms that we were already actively innovating for our clients in our portfolio nationwide, as we really are shifting to being a media focused company who's the expert in the space in the collegiate athletics. And we have had to do that and make some changes, right? And really assess when it's a year-long partnership and you're on the back end of basketball and lose the entire spring sports season, certainly some pivoting is going to have to happen. So our guys and gals on the national side, on the local side at all of our properties across the country are working directly back with our clients. The amazing thing is we all are embracing and understanding that this is going to come back, and by that, the sports seasons will come back, college sports will be back, and as our CEO, Colga Hagan, says, it's going to come back in a vengeance and probably bigger and more powerful than it did before. So helping communicate that message, getting the partner buy-in, that still remains very much the same, but pivoting and really still showing the value of our brands, maybe in a different form of asset, is the route we're taking without the fans needing to physically be in the stadiums to do that.
Got it. Dr. Woods, thank you for your question. I think it sort of covered that a bit with that last answer. Going back to the poll, hopefully everybody has a chance to see that now. You can see that 84% feel supported by their employer or organization at this time. Really nice to see that, but I'm sure we can always do more, as organizations. So what specific sort of resources or recommendations do you guys suggest to those who feel, maybe less supported or feel like they could be even, more supported by their employer?
Yeah, so I'll jump in and certainly turn it over to Nicole as well if she has anything. But I'll start by saying it really, depends on sort of where you've been impacted, whether it's been financially, through a furlough or a layoff, or if it's, again, some on the emotional, mental health piece of it, just with all the anxiety and stress going on. I think, there are outside resources there if you've been impacted financially, whether it's through the enhanced unemployment that kind of came down through the CARES Act. Everyone has access to that if you've been reduced in hours or you've been fully sort of laid off or furloughed from your organization. I would definitely look at the Texas government site to kind of get access to how do you apply for those enhanced benefits. There are other financial resources in terms of, student loan forbearance and forgiveness during this COVID-19 period. So there's a lot of enhanced financial opportunities out there if you've got, credit card debt or student loans, or you need enhanced unemployment while you're reduced in hours or infected from working standpoint. I think internal to the organizations, I think it really, starts with the conversation. Really, if you, have someone that you can lean on inside the organization and really open up and talk about some of the troubles that you're having, again, whether it's financial, mentally, or physically, and really a lot of organizations have resources, as you can see by the 84% of things that they can help their employees and support them with. But I think it starts with each of us kind of being open and honest about the things that are affecting us and making sure that someone hears that and they can respond appropriately to what you need.
Nicole, anything to add? I've got other questions, but if you've got anything to add, please do.
Yeah, I support everything Q said, and I think it's literally getting out there, doing some Googling, understanding the resources available. And by that, this is a good time for all of us, no matter how you've been impacted, to take an assessment of personal finances, any debt you do have. There's some ways to adjust interest rate on credit cards, or get your mortgage rates adjusted. And you're seeing some companies really lend into borrowers right now. And this could be long-term benefits for you. So just consider taking a full assessment of your own personal finances and things of that nature would be my primary suggestion.
Thank you. Reminder to anybody looking at the chat box that Carla's put the link to donate. You give $1, that turns into 4, and that turns 3 meals into 12. So anything that you might be able to give, we'd really, really appreciate it. So I guess question for both of you, but Nicole, I'll start with you. For those people who are in transition, are on the job hunt, maybe even prior to the pandemic, but now, they may have lost their jobs or feel they need to make a shift based on the cost savings impacts that they're experiencing. How'd you advise them on simply finding a job at this time?
That is a great question. I think we take this time to assess your resume, assess your own personal brand, and really position yourself to be hireable when you do start applying. And if you are actively applying, as we know, we touched on, there are companies out here that are hiring folks in and out of our industry. For those people who understand we're pretty much in a hiring freeze in the sports business, it's okay to consider taking a role that's not in our space. And at the end of the day, from a personal perspective, you need to do what's best for you and your family. When you are thinking about getting hired in our space and really leveraging relationships with, at the end of the day, in sports, that is the best way to really navigate and work your career. I have seen so many webinar resources like the one we're on today. I've seen different virtual gatherings online, whether happy hours or just chats with groups coming together with industry networks and organizations, where people are still interacting, meeting new people, and building relationships, especially during this time. I always shout out the introverts who weren't really on the go and wanting to attend the events in person. This time is for you. Sending that LinkedIn connection, following up with just a genuine wanting to get to know somebody with really no strings attached for future relationship building. We all should be doing that. And I think that's the best use of time that I've seen from a lot of different people, and doing it in an authentic, intentional way. So when jobs do start opening up, you've already created a relationship where it's just not a cold reach out, is what I would suggest in the most part.
That's great insight. So all you introverts, this time's for you. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you get all the benefits of social interaction through Zoom and such without actually having to, to leave your house. All right, we have time for one last question, Q. It's for you. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'd love to talk about company culture. I know we can always do better when it comes to that. Sometimes in stressful situations, you actually get opportunities to strengthen who you are as a leader or manager or as an organization. It certainly has an impact on recruitment, employee engagement, overall business performance. So tell me what Legend's doing to keep the culture thriving. I know you guys have a strong culture. You talked about some of the things that you're doing for employees working from home, but if you can just share anything that you kind of think on the topic of culture in this kind of crazy time we're in, I think we'd love to hear your answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Culture is important, and as we've all sort of mostly shifted to working remotely and working from home, Legends, we've really been continuously figuring out how do we take our culture and push that in a way that resonates with people working remotely while we don't have people physically in the workspace. So we've been doing a lot of things around, really starting with communication. We're doing weekly virtual town halls with our CEO. Just really that communication is important to make sure people understand what's happening, not only in the industry, but what's happening specifically at Legend. So, as a leader, and all of us as leaders on this webinars, it's important for you to get out in front of your people and just communicate regularly with them and make sure you may not have all the answers. None of us know sort of when we're going to be back to work fully, but at least communicate and tell them what you do know, tell them what you don't know, and just make sure people are feeling as informed as they possibly can. Secondly, really taking, the approach that Nicole kind of mentioned during this time is we focused on educating all of our people. So we've been doing series of webinars and internal virtual sessions and really continuing our D&I efforts. And we launched what we called Legends Learning Month, which was through the month of April and some of May, really focused on getting people educated and getting them trainings that they may not have had the time to take previous to this, and just kind of leveraging the time that we have now and making sure that we're upskilling people as much as possible, getting them exposure to learning different things so that when the time comes, they're better equipped to come back into the workspace. So whatever you can do to take your culture and move that to a virtual environment, whether it's through sessions like this internally, communication, constantly is kind of what you think you need to do as most important.
Great, thanks. I'm sure we could take this conversation a lot longer. We promise 30 minutes. I know we're already 1 minute past, but everybody stuck around. Thank you. Notice the chat, donate if you can, post if you can, follow us if you can. Joseph McGrath had a great idea to post LinkedIn profiles. I'll leave this meeting up for another minute or so if anybody wants to do that. Connect, network, and let's help each other through this crazy time. So thank you guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Got an awesome topic next week. The American Gaming Association. We're going to dig into sports betting. It's kind of a weird topic in Texas, given how much further away we might be from that legalization versus other states in the country. So I think it's a little bit underrepresented as a subject matter here, but we're going to dig in next week. We hope you join us. So again, thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something, and let's help each other, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.